Now, you all are probably looking at the screen right now like, why do I see the post-game box score from the divisional round against the Ravens, and why did you lose 35-6? I'm going to answer both of those questions. First one being, why am I seeing the box score? Well, that is because something happened with my Elgato Game Capture HD last night. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but basically, for anybody who understands how capture cards work, or I'm going to do my best to explain to you, even if you don't know how capture cards work, what exactly happened. So, when you have the Elgato Game Capture HD, you have a game capture program that pops up on your PC. It's the Elgato's program is called the Game Capture, and it pops up, and that's where you record. You hit the record button on there, you get the title of the file, you get to choose what folder you want to go into, what the quality settings and all that stuff are. And I had all my settings as I usually do, and I've never had a problem. I've had this Elgato for 2 years now, and I've never had a problem with it until last night, where I was recording the divisional playoff game, and 5 minutes into the first quarter, it just froze. The screen on the recording froze, but the time on the recording kept going on. So I wasn't constantly looking over at the game capture, like I had like Twitter up and I was looking at like the tweets scrolling down as I was playing, but I wasn't looking at the recording like I should have been, because it froze, and if I was looking at the recording, I could have noticed it and backed up the game in time, because I didn't actually notice the recording was frozen, and it messed up until I was already out of the game. I was already out of the game, and once you leave the game, it auto-saves, and you can't exit the franchise and come back in and play that game over again, like you can if you were in the middle of the game. If I was in the middle of the game, I could have exited the game no matter what the score was, and it would have reverted me back to the beginning of the game, saved before I played the game, and that would have been fine, and I could just played it again, figured out what was wrong, and played it again. But right now, that's not the possibility, because it auto-saved once I was out of the game. So basically what happened was the Elgato capture screen was frozen, and I was just looking at the time of the recording when I hit stop recording, and the actual time of the recording kept going on, even though it only recorded that 15 minutes of actual footage. So the only 15 minutes of actual footage was recorded, but on the Elgato Game Capture program, it said there was like an hour and 15 minutes recorded, which was around the time it takes for me to play a full game of Madden 15. And just to give you an idea of what happened, I'm going to play you the end of the clip that I have so you can see exactly what I mean by it just froze. It just stopped recording, even though it was saying it was still recording. It just stopped recording for whatever reason. I'm trying to figure out currently what's the problem is. Most of my day today will be pretty much trying to fix the problem, figuring out what the problem is, and trying out how to figure out how to not make it happen ever again, so when MLB 15 comes out, I'm not constantly having problems with my game capture, because MLB 15 is going to be a big thing for my channel. But yeah, let's take a look at what the actual clip happened. So there you see, after Lamar Miller's yard run, or whatever it was, 93, 94, I forget exactly what it was, it just froze. He was showing the replay of Lamar Miller running down the field, outrunning everybody, and it just froze. And it just stopped recording, and that was what happened. That was the only thing I had. I didn't notice that it was frozen until I was already out of the game, and it already auto-saved, so there was no possible way for me to replay it. And now as far as why I lost 35-6, well, essentially, the sliders worked. The sliders that everyone was saying I should be changing, and it's too easy and too unrealistic, they decided to finally work against me. So, basically, Joe Flacco decided to complete 95% of his passes. He went 20 for 21 on the day with 214 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 128.8 quarterback rating. He just went off. The New Jersey power of his New Jerseyness was just too much to handle. And then Lamar Miller only had 8 carries on the day. Only had 8. But he had 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 28.1 yards per carry average. Which is absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane. My defense could not stop the run all game long. My defense could not get to Flacco all game long. And my corners could not jam up their receivers all game long. And it was just a horrible, horrible game. And a big reason why the game was so terrible was Blake Bortles. Blake Bortles had possibly one of the worst games he's ever played in his career, if not the worst. A divisional playoff game, and he goes 8 for 20, completing 40% of his passes with 63 yards. 63 yards in an entire NFL game. 63 yards while throwing for 3 interceptions, count them, 1, 2, 3, and having an 8.9 quarterback rating. That's right. You did not mishear me, it is an 8.9 quarterback rating. And then, of course, the only bright spot of my entire team was Bryce Brown. 26 carries, 203 yards, 7.8 yards per carry average. So that's pretty much what happened with the recording and with why I lost 35-6, now that you know that. And I wish I was able to go back and play the divisional round because I just really would like to show that game. Even if I did lose again, I would really just like to show that game because I really, really hate that I just have to do this. And I really, really hate that I didn't check the recording and be like, oh, well, it froze, maybe I should back out and figure what's wrong with my Elgato. But I didn't do that, and it was too late before I actually realized it. And it's a bummer, but at least the actual franchise isn't gone like it was with Giants and Astros. And the bad part actually is, too, that it happened with the off-season recording as well. So I thought that it was just a one-time thing, because with this recording it did it, but then with recording of the box score, which you'll see in this video, you'll see me going through the box score, and you'll see me doing the player stats and stuff like that, and that recorded no problem. It was like a 35-minute recording, and it just recorded straight through, no problems. There was no problem processing it, no problems, anything. It just recorded, it was fine, just like everything else I've ever recorded with the Elgato ever since I've had it. Completely fine, no problems at all. But then I decided to record the off-season video because I didn't think there was going to be a problem, and after I recorded the whole off-season, after I did the draft, I did the free agency, I re-signed everyone, I looked through the rosters, I did some different changes and stuff. After I did all that, I looked at the recording, and it didn't record the entire thing. It froze after like 15 minutes. And yeah, you're probably thinking like, well, what did you get? Well, literally the only thing I got on the recording was me going through the roster. Just going through the roster to figure out what I want to do. I knew who was going to be an expiring free agent if I wanted to re-sign that guy, what I had as backups, who I was going to have to, what positions I was going to have to replace and stuff like that. And that's where it froze. So I didn't get the re-sign, I didn't get the free agency, I didn't get the draft, I didn't get any of that stuff. So in order to show you all that, I'm going to have to figure what's wrong with my Elgato and then go into the actual roster and be like, well, I got this guy this way and this guy that way and I got this guy that way, and just show you within the roster after the fact and everything that happened, because I don't have the actual me drafting them or actually me offering a contract and free agency. And it could be worse. It could have been where it just flat out I can't show you. Like with this, I have to literally just show you the box score and the player stats from the game. I can't actually show you footage from the game besides just the ending of that recording. And like I said, it could have been worse, could have been that, but at least I'm able to show you visually who I have on the team and not just give you like, well, take my word for it, it was this guy was that bad in this game, and just stuff like that. And yeah, so before anybody, just a quick disclaimer, before anybody decides to leave some hate comment about how I ruined the series, or how you're smarter than me because you wouldn't have had this happen to you, or I got destroyed and I'm terrible at the game and I should make the sliders easier even though you just said the last video I should make the sliders harder. Make sure you send those comments. You email them to ICouldNotPossiblyCare@youhaveterriblegrammar.net. Once again, that is ICouldNotPossiblyCare@youhaveterriblegrammar.net. Make sure you keep that address in mind, because this is the address that you want to email any hate comments to, and I will gladly get back to you in return. And with that being said, that'll wrap things up. I've been your host, JerseyBorn, and I'm saying goodbye.
Girls smile when we roll by. They hop in the back and we cruise to the riverside. Whoa. Never gonna grow up. Whoa. Never gonna slow down. We were shining like lighters in the dark in the middle of a rock show. Whoa. We were doing it right. Whoa. We were coming alive.